Hey, everybody, welcome back to another whatever this is called, the podcast where you listen to two guys talk that definitely don't have the shine or the polish or razors, apparently. I have Scott Taylor here, as always, with Mr. Steven Garcia. Steve, how you doing?
Fantastic. I'm ready to go. I love the show so far. Had a little I'm getting Alien Earth kind of traumatic things because that show started out good and then just went in the toilet really fast. So I'm hoping that this doesn't do that. But how are you, Scott?
Good, good. We're talking this week once again about Welcome to Derry. Welcome to Derry, episode 2. They released it early on Halloween for everyone to get scared, and I don't know. I think people. I don't know. I remember when Walking Dead came out, they did that. The first Walking Dead was out on Halloween night, and I remember
Mm.
closing, the door, turning the light off. We were out of candy, and then sitting down and watching Walking Dead. So it's interesting that they did that here. But let's get into it. We liked the first episode. What are your initial thoughts on the second episode?
I think that this episode, kind of opens up with an alternate perspective, the kid's perspective, I suppose, of what happens in the last episode at the end. And you really get the terror that, because they had the cutaways of showing different perspectives in that one of the kids. So there was no cutaways, and you saw what the demon, I guess, does with this, with the kids. And it kind of goes into this territory of now it's starting to lean in. Oops, sorry, starting to lean into the kind of more the storyline, kind of opening up. Whereas in the first one, I was kind of locked in with the kids' perspective and was not really interested in this adult version and the military presence and all that kind of all those things. Whereas this one's flipped, and I was really keyed into um, why they were showing so much of the military and this man, Mike Hanlon's family, and seeing them settle into Derry and all the things, and it relies on kind of this the racist undertones that were happening in that time period, anyways. But it got me to think that okay, yeah, that they're using that kind of trope of the racism and people's kind of evilness, and it kind of made me at least kind of think about how maybe the evil presence is using that as a way of kind of covering up for a lot of things. It kind of sparked my interest a little bit in that, and wondering how it's using that, and also how the military is. It's hinting or it's beginning the story of how the military is going to try and use that, and who's using who is kind of this thing that I got, and it was very interesting. And yeah, and it kind of hints at a hangout for the black people that were in the military, and I think around town in general, of this black spot that they kind of hint at in the book and also in the It movies. So you have Operation Precept, I think was it Precept, something like that, and
Yep.
you have the chief of police trying to figure this thing out, and the town really kind of applying the pressure of you need to find somebody who killed these kids. They're not going to buy the whole demon thing, so it's all kind of reliant on this one kid who I loved in the first one. She was still good in this one as well. I think the kids are doing a great job in this story, but I think the adults in this episode really kind of step it up and kind of nail their performances. And yet, like I said, you kind of feel this thing of the evilness undertones, and I don't know. It kind of turned up the intensity for me, and I'm kind of looking forward to the storyline. So yeah, that's my take at the beginning of this. What was your take at the beginning? Like, what did it draw you in, or are you kind of like, eh? What's your feel on this?
Yeah, I mean, it drew me in this episode just straight from the intro. We didn't get an intro last episode.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that
this
too.
one,
Yeah.
it fits so well where it's the artwork of it and the scenes it's showing, and it's kind of showing you things that have happened over the different iterations of it doing its feeding, which is great, and that's what we're looking forward to over the additional seasons. Hopefully, that it steps back and steps back, and we get to see those other things. We get to see the Easter Bunny costume on fire, the person at the Easter Bunny Easter egg hunt. See that happen. So there's so many other things that are going to be great down the line. But this episode, you're right. It did highlight the whole racism part of it, and it's smart to think that yeah, it's going to use that. It's going to hide behind that. It's going to be able to say, "Oh yeah, it's the racism part of it," and people can tie into that if they're looking from the outside in. One
Yeah.
thing we start getting in this episode, we didn't get a lot of it last with Hanlon coming to town, but now with his wife and his child in town, we got a lot of their view, and we haven't really seen an outsider's view of Derry. Right
Yeah.
in the previous movies, it was nope. You jump right in. The kids have all lived there for a long time, kind of know each other through passing, that sort of thing. So you don't really get an adult's view of the outside coming in. So that'll be interesting, and it's also interesting seeing the Hanlon family because you know what's going to happen to them from the other story.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're going to die in a fire, and so you're looking at someone that's going to perish at the hands of it eventually.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You're kind of seeing this build up for this family in terms of the hints that they're giving for the wife who's kind of shown in this episode or kind of told us in this episode that in past places she's kind of this it's a activist type, always advocating for not only her family because they're black in this kind of white, not supremacy, but white setting, but also just her what she's preaching as is to be kind and to be a noble and to have these kind of really kind of hard integrity about things and stand up for things. And you see an example of that when she goes into the butcher shop. These children are beating up this other child, and no one seems to be doing anything. And when she does, and when she steps in, the feeling she gets from everybody else is this, like, well, how dare you, interfere with this? So it kind of like you were said, or the whole feeling of the episode is like this thing that this evilness permeates through everything, and like what it says in the book and also in the movies was this idea that adults are kind of they're not able to see the true evilness in the things that happen around, like Beverly when the blood comes out of in the movies when the blood comes out of the sink and her dad can't see it. The adults are just able to see all these things, and so you see a little bit of that in this episode, and it kind of makes and it. She's I don't know if she's starting to understand, but she's gotten a little part of it, and that's where I'm like, oh, okay, that's the interest, that's the curiosity in me. It's like, oh, okay, so the evilness is permeated through all the town, and I think as it relates to the military part of this movie, seeing them trying to, as always in movies, maybe it's a little bit rote, but it's like this thing of the military maybe trying to weaponize this thing, but they don't even know what it is yet. So that's interesting to me too, to see where they fall with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the military aspect of it and how that comes into play because they're looking for different pieces to
Yeah.
triangulate where actually it is. Where does it reside? What can they and they don't know what it is
Yeah.
at this
They have
point.
a
So
yeah, they have a basic understanding. It sounds like, well, it can destroy a human or a man by showing it something so terrible and fearful that it just destroys somebody. That's how they came to that and using what was his name? Using Halloran's the shining, what he had in the shining, using that power to kind of find all these artifacts and find all these things that are attached to or they don't even know what it is yet. So
mhm.
that's just interesting to me. Yeah, so I'm already ready for episode 3.
Yeah, it's a new aspect for sure, and something to kind of dig into and explore, which will be great.
Yeah.
You got some new kids introduced this episode too, so
Oh
they're
yeah.
kind of putting together a new group of kids that are actually gonna move forward and take their turn at tackling it in
Yeah.
many ways. Yeah, one thing I realized this week, I feel like a lot of sequences throughout the movies and specifically this show so far, they feel a lot to me like homage to Nightmare on Elm Street. Because when you look at Nightmare on Elm Street, you have Freddy Krueger in the dreams, and he's coming at them for their fears, right? Their nightmares.
Yeah. Okay.
And so whenever it is, you've got the scene in the bed where, getting pulled into the bed and then all the blood shoots out, right? You've got the, give me a kiss,
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger. So you've got all these different, he's going at the fear. So it's a lot like it. And I see that in a lot of these scenes where you have, this week she was trapped in the womb and she gets birthed and then she's getting pulled back with the umbilical cord. That very well could be a Freddy Krueger scene. And the pickle scene could very well be a Freddy Krueger scene.
Yeah, let's talk about that scene. I mean, overall, what did you think about that supermarket? Well, let's start with the supermarket scene. Or maybe we should start, well, whatever. We'll talk about both. But that supermarket scene was really interesting because you can tell how they did it like what practically was done in that. And you can tell with the camera work, like she'll walk into like a dead end and then she'll turn around and now she's enclosed in this. You could tell they're moving the aisles on these things. And the idea that, her dad was supposedly, I think the thing about her dad was he fell into like a crusher or something. And then
he worked at like a canning facility. He was in a pickle and he's in pickles.
Yeah.
He was in a canning facility, worked in a canning facility, got into a machine, that jammed or whatever. It wasn't even his machine. And he climbs in and then the gears just got him. And so they referenced last week, they're like pieces of him were found in, pickle jars all across the county.
Yeah, that's the sequence. That's why I was so enthusiastic about when you brought up Nightmare on Elm Street was because that's the feeling I got of this is that it's using these kids' fear as a way to terrorize and instill fear into these kids because kids are just easier to. I mean, you could do it to adults as well, but it takes a lot more. We're able to handle a lot more emotional kind of distress than kids. I think kids are able. It's just horrifying, and also the birthing scene. I mean, the things that Andy Muschietti is doing, and this is from his mind, that he's able to kind of direct these scenes. It does harken back to Nightmare on Elm Street kind of things, and it's just as chilling. I mean, I was like, oh gosh. It's amazing. Yeah.
I haven't been that. It gave me Nightmare on Elm Street vibes easily. Like it made me feel like I was watching a Freddy Krueger fear play. And you see the thing we talked about before too is that hopefully it's not heavy on Pennywise, and we haven't seen Pennywise yet, which is great. It's really well done. And when she's getting pulled in through the umbilical cord, you just see the two deadlights, which is also what I call my testicles. And you see the two deadlights, and you're like, yeah, that's Pennywise. That's the Pennywise eyes right there. Like that's what's going on. So you're seeing these glimpses of the actual evil versus its favorite form.
Yeah, and it's, I think the payoff for me, is going to pay off really well because you're not relying on just, in the movies, it was just this clown, you're not relying on this one image or this one kind of, I don't know what to call it, but one kind of iconic kind of, image, I guess that's the best word is, you're not relying on that to deliver the scares. You're relying on what's behind that. It can kind of manifest. It's like the end of Ghostbusters. You can kind of whatever it wants to be, and so it's going to be interesting to see in the upcoming episodes because the clown is going to make an appearance, but it's just so refreshing to see them not lean on that and not lean on that clown. So we'll see.
I'm hoping beyond hope that the girl with the glasses gets some sort of meet with Pennywise, because you're starting to see all these different people's fears, all these kids, right? And so hers is being afraid of, being left out, being not in a group and just not being popular. And so it'll be interesting to see how she gets her kind of comeuppance, hopefully at some point.
Or those girls. Those girls.
Yeah, those girls too could get their comeuppance in a unique manner. So that's interesting. And then you got Hanlon's son, who's
Yeah.
nerdy. So hopefully
Yeah.
he's gonna play into how to actually how they fight Pennywise and it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing too of his kind of contrast with his father, who I
Mhm.
think at the time his father is somebody who's kind of the protector of the family and this he kind of this strength. And what they kind of hint at or maybe say out loud is that, he was when he was wounded, he had this brain injury or this head injury that allowed him to kind of not be as fearful, and to kind of placate the fear somehow. I don't know how, but and the incident that happens in the episode, or was it last episode, where they break in and they beat him up and they put a gun to his head, and you have this thing of these, and he figures out that it was some sort of like setup, and he goes to the guy that they think did it because he confessed, and he realizes that this is a false confession, and kind of the same thing happens to his son in the sense of like somebody puts that stink bomb and his son gets blamed for it, and so you have these two false confessions, these two scapegoats, and these two institutions like the schools, and then also the army, and you kind of they mirror these images of kind of like of what's it like, I guess like blindness in some way, but that's some sort of connection that I'm really kind of hoping that kind of plays out, and it will. But I just want to see how it plays out in the upcoming episodes, because you have these two things that are happening to this family, and as you said, as we all kind of know, like this family is doomed. So the work up to that ending. Oh man, I just can't. I just feel like that's great storytelling. So
Hmm.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
Yeah, you've got interesting things going on for the next couple episodes, right? You've got the girl's been placed into the mental asylum. You've got the projectionist taken away. You've after that horrible fake interrogation with the girl, who's just doesn't want to go back to the asylum, and doesn't say anything wrong, doesn't say that he did it, but just doesn't say that he didn't do it, and doesn't tell the truth that, oh, it's monsters, because she's gonna get a lobotomy.
Man, you see the machinations of how manipulation is put upon this little girl who's kind of already afraid of going back to, was it Juniper Hill or something?
Hmm.
Juniper or
Yep.
something. And using that as a way of kind of extracting this information that's false, but she's also trapped by this idea that if I tell them the truth, they're not going to believe me, and I'm going to go there anyways. And she ends up going there anyways because of this unresolved kind of trauma that she's had with her, not only with her father, but the experience of being in this mental institution already. So you see how that's used against her. Oh, it broke my heart, because then the daughter of the guy comes to her house. What did you say? And it was this thing. Oh, man, it broke my heart, because you just saw it in real time, and that's
Hmm.
happens a lot in real life. It happens that way. It happens people tend to twist things to kind of shape a narrative that they want and they need, because it relies on his livelihood. If he doesn't get this confession, he's not going to have a job next year or whatever it is. New sheriff. So it's this idea that's being pushed on, and another false confession, right? It's another thing that's not true, and it kind of makes you question how much of this is just the evil that men do, and how much of it is this driving force of evil of it. So it's such a great scene too, and yeah, I probably blabbed too much about it, but yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
That's
it's such a powerful scene, and you're just like, come on, man, like, you can't do this to a girl, even if it's for your own benefit. Like, just
yeah,
think about her. But again, how much is the drive of it in the town, radiating through these people,
yeah,
and how much is it just man being an ass?
yeah,
We're just assholes at our core, and we're trying to fight our way out of it. So,
yeah,
um, I also get, like, with the scenes for next week, you see the projectionist and in the clink.
Yeah.
And they say, you really want to go to Shawshank over this? And so it's interesting that there, all these different things from the Stephen King universe, microverse, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, kind of pulling in together. And it'll be interesting to see what other things kind of get pulled in, because I wouldn't be mad if they do make it one big universe of Stephen King stuff.
Well, it's a wise decision because he has such rich environments and rich settings to pull from that. I haven't read The Shining or watched The Shining in years, and to have watching kind of some reviews and some podcasts about the first episode, I didn't realize that Hanneran was from The Shining, even though I should have, and I didn't. It's like, oh man, you have to. But that's the beauty of that kind of tie-in, is that you have to be, or not have to, but it's so enriching to kind of read all of his stories and his books, and to kind of realize, like you were saying, having this kind of multiverse of Stephen King, everything being connected into it, which is a wise choice, And it's happened before. It's happened in, Needful Things. He has I think it's the town over. I think Needful Things takes place in Cumberland. I think I'm not sure. But again, see, it's those things where you have to reach back and you have to kind of try and remember where each town was, and it's all it's a great idea. It's rich for the taking,
Yeah. There's a lot that they can pull from and a lot that they can use. But so far they're doing great. Totally satisfied with what they're doing, and we'll see what comes out next week from it. It seems like everything, watching the trailer, and it seems like they're going good places. It doesn't feel like they're going to stall. I hope you don't have your alien Earth radar pinging correctly.
That's what I'm fearful. I mean, I think the last 20 minutes, and this episode moves a little slower, which I think is good, because of it's kind of like the inhaling before the screen. It's kind of getting you into that thing of, all right, the everyday kind of aspects, and his family coming to town, and those final 20 minutes is kind of when they dig up that car, and that ties into, I think it's going to be for the next season, because like you, I think you were saying in the review of the trailer, you were hoping that maybe they could go back. Each season would be a different time of its feeding. And I think that's what they're doing. So I think that's going to tie into the next season, which is 27 years earlier. And so it's just, I mean, what they're doing is pretty cool, and it's good. It's quality. I'm like you. I hope that it doesn't turn out like Alien Earth. And so
we've got 6 more episodes, and that's 8 is a pretty sweet number of episodes, I think, for something like this. Where you've had movies before that are 2.5 hours each, so now you're getting 8 hours to tell a full kind of span of one of these scenarios, and I think it's gonna be great. They'll keep going with it, and we'll keep coming back every week to let you guys know our thoughts, to talk about it. Hit us up in comments. What do you think about Derry Chapter 2? Episode 2, not Chapter 2. There's already It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2. So many numbers. I'm not good with numbers, people. Let's just talk about Derry, okay? So leave us comments about Derry. Do you like 2%? Do you like skim milk? Which is your favorite? Do you go an almond person? How do you get milk from an almond? I don't know. Leave us a comment. We'll be back next week with episode 3, with another episode of whatever this is called. See you then.